Hi, my name is Lev Grossman, and I'm the author of a novel called The Magicians. The hero of The Magicians is named Quentin, and he is an obsessive fan of fantasy novels. In particular, he's a fan of a series of novels called Fillory and Further, which I made up. They don't really exist. They were written in England in the 1930s, and they're a little bit like Narnia, and a little bit not. I'm going to read you a short passage from The Magicians in which I sort of explain what they're like and what they're about. Christopher Plover's Fillory and Further is a series of 5 novels published in England in the 1930s. They describe the adventures of the 5 Chatwin children in a magical land that they discover while on holiday in the countryside with their eccentric aunt and uncle. They aren't really on holiday, of course. Their father is up to his hips in mud and blood at Passchendaele, and their mother has been hospitalized with a mysterious illness that is probably psychological in nature, which is why they've been hastily packed off to the country for safekeeping. But all that unhappiness takes place far in the background. In the foreground, every summer for 3 years, the children leave their various boarding schools and return to Cornwall, and each time they do, they find their way into the secret world of Fillory, where they have adventures and explore magical lands and defend the gentle creatures who live there against the various forces that menace them. The strangest and most persistent of those enemies is a veiled figure known only as the Watcher Woman, whose horological enchantments threaten to stall time itself, trapping all of Fillory at 5 o'clock on a particularly dreary and drizzly afternoon in September. Like most people, Quentin read the Fillory books in grade school. Unlike most people, unlike his friends, James and Julia, he never really got over them. They were where he went when he couldn't deal with the real world, which was a lot. The Fillory books were both a consolation for Julia not loving him, and also probably a major reason why she didn't. And it was true, there was a strong whiff of the English nursery about them, and he felt secretly embarrassed when he got to the parts about the cozy horse, who was an enormous, affectionate equine creature who trots around Fillory by night on velvet hooves, and whose back is so broad you can sleep on it. But there was a more seductive, more dangerous truth to Fillory that Quentin couldn't let go of. It was almost like the Fillory books, especially the first one, The World in the Walls, were about reading itself, when the oldest Chatwin, melancholy Martin, opens the cabinet of the grandfather clock that stands in a dark, narrow back hallway in his aunt's house and slips through into Fillory. It's like he's opening the covers of a book, but a book that did what books always promised to do and never actually quite did. They get you out, really out, where you were, and into somewhere better. The world Martin discovers in the walls of his aunt's house is a world of magical twilight. A landscape as black and white and stark as a printed page, with prickly stubble fields and rolling hills crisscrossed by old stone walls. In Fillory, there's an eclipse every day at noon, and seasons can last for 100 years. Bare trees scratch at the sky. Pale green seas lap at narrow white beaches made of broken shells. In Fillory, things mattered in a way that they didn't in this world. In Fillory, you felt the appropriate emotions when things happened. Happiness was a real, actual, achievable possibility. It came when you called. Or no, it never left you in the first place.